especially students, young people. Maybe you can join in front of the seat so it will be much more comfortable for you to see us.
There's so much space.
Yes. Also, greetings for those who are watching us online, so you can ask your questions via Twitter as well. We have very honored guests and very distinguished experts here. We have Lola Cigane, she is representing the Parliament of Latvia. We have also representative from European Commission, Pia Ahrenkilde Hansen. Then we have representation from ERASMUS Student Network, and we have also representative from Center for Security Studies in Zurich, am I right? Severin Fischer, and there we have Kaspers Abelnica. As we have to keep this session very short and very dynamic, first I would like to ask our experts from their own experience and from the institute where they are working, what are these qualities, what today's Europe need to have, what we are seeking from our youth. As we can see, the EU now is facing very difficult time with a lot of challenges, and the youth and the people and the citizens of our country, of European Union, are those who will keep this project alive, as we know. So what are the qualities what we are seeking for? Please, Lolita.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be participating in this panel. I understand that this is a very difficult and torturous panel because there is a lunch break happening at the same time. So other people are networking, enjoying their food, and having had a small walk to the another historic building of the Latvian Parliament. So I'll keep it very short. I believe that Erasmus program is an utterly wonderful program, and I believe that every young person living in the European Union should really make the best out of this program. Just a very short personal note, I did most of my studies before Latvia joined the European Union. It was very difficult to actually get a chance to study abroad and to travel to other European Union member states. I managed to do that, and the benefits it has given in terms of openness, open-mindedness, language knowledge, broadening the horizons has really been tremendous. Second thing that I would like to say is that we shouldn't underestimate the issue of speaking other languages. And this is very often an issue for a little bit older generation Europeans, that they do not participate in many European Union forums because they don't feel comfortable with their lack of any other language apart from their national. Of course, for the Brits and bigger language speakers it's probably not such a problem, but for others it is. And I've seen, for instance, my members of European Affairs Committee sometimes refusing to attend some wonderful, really enlightening events because they don't feel comfortable with speaking languages. So for young people, getting the first-hand experience of being able to speak English, French, German is just wonderful. And the last thing that I would like to say is that we just had a panel about the economic health of the European Union and specifically Eurozone. And one of the conclusions was that there are still very big differences between the economic management capabilities, fiscal capabilities, labor productivity, and so on and so forth. Similarly, there are a lot of differences also in both how we perceive life, what are the living conditions in different parts of Europe, and what we can share. And if in economic sense it was mentioned as negative because it creates a lot of inefficiencies, I believe that in terms of youth exchange, this is an extreme positive, that we are so different. And actually those young people, younger generation people from the older European Union member states who have always had very prosperous and secure life, I think they are benefiting tremendously for an ability, for instance, to spend several months in a small town, for instance, in Latvia, that is very close to the Russian or Belarusian border, because this gives a very rich experience both of what the Second World War was about, what the European project is about, and also the everyday hardship of our citizens. And all these three things make us better Europeans, more connected, and I would want to see many more students coming to Latvia and many more students from Latvia going to other European Union member states, because it really shows the benefit. I was just recently, just a few weeks ago, in a very small school in a municipality that is about 50 kilometers from the Russian border, and we had a discussion with the students from the secondary school, and two of the students who spoke the most had been Erasmus students. And I couldn't figure out why the rest are so shy and why these two students shine so well. They asked clever questions, they were not afraid, they just went on with this discussion very easily. And then eventually we realized that both of them had been once to France and once to Spain, so they've been exposed to Europe much more than the rest of the people were. So this is just some practical examples. Thank you.
Thank you, Lita. Now, Pia, the floor is yours. What are the qualities what the European Union is seeking?
Thank you very much. Great pleasure to be here. I have to say straight away, I was not an Erasmus student, so I'm not as much of an expert as other people here in the room. Actually, back in 1981, of course, the program didn't exist yet, so my way of forging my own European identity was basically to buy a one-way ticket to Paris and then find out what happened. And a lot of things happened, including some very interesting both language and political science studies, but not necessarily in a very orderly way, not necessarily in an optimal way compared to what is possible now, thanks to this program that now celebrates its 30 years. So I wish I was an expert, and I wish I would have had the possibility, and it's great, frankly, that it exists now and that 9 million have been able so far to benefit from it. I think it's one of our best-known brands and one of the most positive things that people can possibly associate with the European Union. As I said, I have given millions of people an opportunity to study, train, volunteer, and gain professional experience abroad. What we're doing now, very practically, is, for example, taking initiatives to make it even easier to apply for an Erasmus program, and for example, via an app, via a web platform where we are also collecting projects. We're obviously wanting to communicate about the program after 30 years of success. I think that it's undisputed. And we want to have more and different people being able to participate. So I encourage everyone who can and who has the experience to also become ambassadors for Erasmus Plus, as we now call it, because pluses have been added to the programs along the way. We have, by the way, also had 3 commissioners making their own testimonials. We have 3 people in the college who have actually got an Erasmus experience as well. Erasmus that now includes not only higher education exchanges, but also volunteering, sports, educational projects, social integration, and vocational training. You know, the whole palette of new things, of pluses that have been added along the way since 1987 when we started out. And by the way, since we have a new kid on the block as well, the newly formed European Solidarity Corps, that's also something that we have indeed proudly presented. President Juncker announced it in the State of the Union last year. It's already seeing the light of day with the first many registrations. And creating another way of creating opportunities for young people to volunteer and to work in projects either in their own country or abroad on projects that benefit communities and people around Europe. And you can register when you are 17 years old, but you cannot start a project until you are 18. And it's available for people up to 30 years old. So after completing the registration process, you could be selected and invited to join a wide range of projects, helping, for example, to prevent natural disasters or rebuild communities after they have unfortunately hit a region, assisting in centers for asylum seekers, or addressing different social issues in communities. So a very important new dimension to also foster mobility and engagement of our youth in European solidarity in action, I think you could call it. More information, of course, you just Google the European Solidarity Corps. Registration is online if you want to join. And the reason that it's really very interesting for us also to discuss this today is that these things, and we've heard it in a panel I participated in this morning, are part of what forges or helps foster, build a European identity, a sense of belonging to Europe, which is so much what we need to indeed let's say re-dynamize the European project and foster that important debate we were discussing this morning of what we want Europe to do, what we want to do together as Europeans. So Erasmus very much has been a privileged instrument to give young people experience of Europe and of being European. So I think I will perhaps make it shorter, but just stress that we want to go further by fostering the development of social and civic and intercultural competences as we develop this program. We want to, for example, also give more access to disadvantaged learners. We want to explore new approaches to reducing disparities in access to digital technologies, for example, in formal and non-formal education. And finally, we also want to try to establish a network of positive role models. This is something that was proposed back in June 2016 when we tabled a communication on supporting the prevention of radicalization. Of course, as an issue which is right there at the heart of our security concerns at the moment, a positive way also of addressing the root causes of those in this framework. So let me stop there simply by saying that ultimately it's also about preventing the young generation from drifting away from society, from exclusion, and to promote the ownership that I was talking about of common EU values, and convey the message that everyone, every young person is important for our society. And I think that's a powerful message that this program brings home to the participants. So thank you very much for this possibility to make these remarks, and obviously I look very much forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you very much. We are going forward because we are very limited in time. Please, your comment.
I'll be very quick. I'm certainly not an expert on Erasmus dealing with energy issues, so completely different next panel. But I think I'm sitting here because I'm part of the experience. I did my Erasmus today 13 years ago. Just that one, 13 years ago, in the nice, lovely city of Budapest in Hungary. And I just give you two examples why I think this is very important. The first one is, if we look today, if we look at the media, TV, what's happening in the city centers of many European capitals, that the youth is rising, the pulse of Europe, marches are going on, the people are going on the street to fight for the European project and to demonstrate that there is also political capital behind that. Then this is, I believe, only possible because people enjoyed the kind of the benefit of mobility, of learning to understand what the European project means for them. I couldn't imagine that to happen 30, 40 years ago. Not for the European project, for different things, but not for the European project. And I think this is closely connected to what Erasmus did and the possibility to learn what it means to live abroad in a different context. And the second thing I was thinking by preparing this, well, I studied in Budapest, and some of you might know that last week the Hungarian government started to limit the ability of movement for the Central European University in Budapest. And what amazed me was how, via social media, this little move of the Hungarian government created an uprising all over Europe. I would even say beyond that. And this is part also of the network that was created over these years by a university. It's an academic network maybe, but it's loud and it's visible. And this is important. This is also to do with the experience. I think it is very important to connect people and to keep them connected. If I look today, every one of us is using social media in a way. In my network, via Facebook or Twitter, I meet so many people I've met 12 years, 14 years ago during these programs. So this is very important, and I think this is bringing the European idea. I had very last comment. I think doing this experience is not only about learning the European project, but also about understanding other identities in Europe, understanding history, understanding cultural diversity, which is maybe also part of the European project. But if I remember studying in Budapest this time, the kind of the experience of transformation, this completely different mindset when it comes to what culture or nation means, this is only be understandable, I think, if you live there and experience that. And I would say today, coming back to the start, working on energy, in my job, it helps me a lot explaining how different political systems works and why maybe also in the Baltic region or in Poland, the relationship in energy terms is so difficult. So this is kind of, I would say, I own that to the program, and I would say thank you, EU, for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Kasper, maybe you can tell us, you are very close with the students every day, with the Erasmus students. What are the problems for them? What do you see? What is the prospects where we need to work for the European Union?
Certainly. So yes, I get to enjoy the amazing benefits of the Erasmus program every day. It's really amazing to see people from so many different social, economical backgrounds and cultures come together, become friends, form bonds that last for the entire lifetime. And what our goal of the Erasmus Student Network ever since we were founded in '89 was to work together with the European Commission to make it as inclusive and as open to everyone, to encourage intercultural exchange, and most importantly to help students as students and to form bonds that will last forever. We've made great steps, but the things that, coming back to the point of the things that we should improve is to make it as accessible as to everyone. The access to Erasmus by disability was already mentioned. It's one of our main priorities, would be to make Erasmus Plus accessible to people from that have disadvantaged social backgrounds or that suffer from disabilities, especially if they help them to come out with their disabilities as well and to embrace them. And the other is, of course, that we seek to make Erasmus Plus should be help with the youth unemployment, which was mentioned in the previous panel. I think it would be a very great danger to the European project if youth unemployment would remain, because it would have a very negative impact of Europe in youth. They would think that the EU is not looking out for them. And we get quite a lot of requests from students that they want to have a part-time job or internships during their exchange as well. So what we think should be promoted is both academic and professional education, and most importantly, they should be encouraged to use the full length of the program. The Erasmus Plus program offers 12 months in total, but we've done research which shows that 70% of our students only do less than 6 months. But the gains for the second 6 months are much bigger than for the first 6. So encouraging, sharing information. What I, as a local student, face often is that there's often not enough information. There might be information about academic mobility, but other programs such as Erasmus Managed Joint Degree programs or EVS, for example, are often not mentioned. And yes, the main thing is that we need information for youth. If they see the benefits, if they see the potential, they will take it. Because when we look at people, almost everyone enjoys their international experience. Even if there are challenges, the vast majority, over 90% of students we ever ask, feel that it was an amazing and great part of their life that will shape the rest of their future, both professionally and in their private life as well. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, Kasper. So we have some students here and the professionals here. Please feel free to say your comment, to ask your question, but you are kindly asked to come forward to press the mic button and ask your question. So please feel free. Yes, please use your microphone.
Hello, my name is Christoph Scheele. I'm working for the German Academic Exchange Service, DAAD, at the University of Latvia. So I'm a big fan of academic exchange myself and working for it. So given that we have 60 years birthday of the European Union, and the initial idea was the spillover effect of, well, the European idea. And I think the probably best idea for spillover for European integration actually is Erasmus, given that we have now the first generation of the kids, the products of Erasmus students. So what could possibly be more European than this? So my question is relatively Latvian specific, because I have participated in Erasmus also myself as a teacher or professor. And the lady working at the international office at the University of Latvia said that the number of Latvian students using this opportunity gradually goes down, it decreases. And talking to my students, well, I'm a lawyer, so law students, they seem to be a bit reluctant to take this opportunity because they have to enter the job market, that's one thing, and once you stop working for a law firm, then you think you can't get back into the job market. So how to approach this point? Another aspect is that at the University of Latvia, basically I think you have to pay roughly 2,000 euros per year, whereas, for instance, in Germany, studying is for free. That means that you're losing money by going to a country where you have education for free, because Erasmus students have to continue paying the registration, being registered as a Latvian student. So this is also something which needs to be addressed, I think. And well, given that we're all big fans of Erasmus and academic exchange, furthermore, I would also completely agree with Kasper's. I myself, I studied 1 year in France, before Erasmus actually, but I think it takes you like 3-5 months to get into the different country, to meet locals, not only Erasmus students. And also for that reason, my third point would be how to encourage students also to stay for 1 year, also for learning the language, because in 3 to 6 months you just learn the basics. And well, again, one last comment to the Latvian educational system, then one suggestion, not only focus on English products we see with Brexit and Donald Trump, maybe it might also be an idea to learn French and German and Italian and Spanish and so on. So just a couple of points for reflection.
Thank you. Is there any other? Yes, please.
Currently in Latvia, we are discussing education reforms within high schools, and I wanted to know if the European Commission, Erasmus Plus Network, and other governing bodies would consider integration of European values and the availability of other European projects also within the younger generation, as it is important to raise the awareness and the responsibility of social and political issues also within them, not only starting from, for example, the age of 18, or whether it should be left to the local governments and authorities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other? Okay, if no, then we can start with Lolita for the Mr.
Fighting for the microphone. Right. Thank you so much for the observations about the Latvian student participation in Erasmus programs. And I believe that the issue that you are talking of, that participation in any exchange program is stepping out of the comfort zone. And when my generation people did that, we were entering universities post-immediate Soviet Union collapse. So it was completely chaotic situation, and we had nothing to lose, because it's you either succeed or nothing, because it was very chaotic. Of course, the security of labor market and the security of a guaranteed workplace when they finish their studies is very attractive. And this is what I am a bit afraid of, that we are becoming complacent, that we agree that we will be having our safe, secure environment and will not dare stepping out. And this is something that very much runs counter the spirit of the youth. And definitely I've myself thought about that complacency, and thanks for your observation. I do not have a ready-made answer. I think we shouldn't be that, given the opportunities and also given the comfort of being able to study abroad. In terms of the registration of the study tuition fees, I'll ask my colleagues, because I don't work specifically with education issues, so I'll see whether there is a possibility that for that time when someone studies in Germany, the fee could be cancelled or somehow deferred. I'll ask about that question. The last point about languages, I utterly, completely agree that English should not be the only comfortable lingua franca that we all use. Of course, German, French, Spanish, they all should be learned. And the more languages you learn, the easier it gets to master the next one. Actually, my personal passage to being able to study abroad was the Swedish language, which is very small, and I sometimes regret that I didn't invest the same effort in studying French, for instance, but in the first part of 90s, it was wonderful that I spoke that language because there were very few Swedish speakers at that time. And the last thing about the new curriculum that we are developing, education is a strictly national policy. This is our choice. And on Friday, there was a conference here in Parliament talking about the new curriculum and this competence-based education. And we've actually talked about it, that there should be more European themes that are integrated in that. We haven't been getting too far so far in terms of really clearly set policies. But again, this is the place where, for young people, it is an opening to come in and to actually make your say and tell that you would like to have more European themes. Because the problem is that teachers themselves do not very often know how to talk about the European Union. And the wish is there. For instance, when I travel to the schools in Latvia, and I'm trying to do it at least once in a month, I see that people want to discuss the European Union, youngsters, but the teachers do not know how to address it. Because it's complex, it involves pluses and minuses, and then it's better not to touch that issue at all. So I completely agree that the European element should be integrated. We just have to see how to do that. And people who are in charge of developing these new competence models, they are very open-minded. So I think we can, with a united effort, find a way how to make sure that this voice is heard.
Thank you. Pia, how we can encourage youth?
Well, thank you for also enabling me just to attach a few remarks to the comments made, even if, I mean, they of course address very much the national situation here. I think that in terms of the fear of taking that time out to do an Erasmus and what impact it would have on job opportunities later on, I think at least the facts bear out that actually you are really much better placed, having done an Erasmus, to find a job afterwards. So maybe that message also needs to get out, that basically it enhances your job chances afterwards significantly. So that would maybe alleviate some of the fears. But many valid points, obviously, to feed in as a national experience that we're busy collecting. And you said it, the national education competence. Indeed, it's difficult to imagine, as things stand now, that the EU would go below, let's say, the higher education level. But of course, a lot of things are happening a lot of tools are available, for example, to teachers about teaching Europe through, indeed, the European institutions. We also have the Back to School initiative, for example, where actually officials go round to secondary schools and share their experience of Europe that way. Okay, you may say it's drop in the ocean because it's a very small program with a limited budget, but things like that do exist. But the main thing here, as we also discussed this morning, remains ownership of and telling the story of Europe, you know, in the national education and making space for it in the national education programs, and that is and remains a competence of our member states, indeed, by choice.
Thank you. Do you have some comment?
Just very quickly, I think one issue is, of course, the pressure that is on young people today in getting into jobs and being always younger and younger, being able to speak at best 4 languages and being educated completely with a university degree at the age of 20. And that, of course, stops gathering experience. And as long as I think this is also a cultural question, as long as we don't regard it as a valuable experience that you spend a year somewhere and not necessarily proving that you did a master's degree there, but just to study there and learn a language and meet people and talk to people, as long as that is not valued, in a sense, we are creating a problem also for, I think, our European project and the identity. This is, I think, a very, very important time. And this needs to be financially, of course, then backed up. This is what you said. I'm not sure whether you have to spend the university fee on that, but as long as kind of there is a compensation for that somehow, then that definitely helps.
Thank you. Kasper?
Sure. So the first point was actually really nice. I want to add, when it comes to advertising the opportunities of Erasmus Plus, that there's always hesitation, and it's not just providing the information from the national agency, the high school. Actually, it's the word of mouth from other students that is very important, because you might ask, you might think there's about 6,400 international students in Latvia now, that if you ask them, why did you come to, let's say, Riga, that they would say, oh, it was my second or third priority choice. That's not actually true. To many of them, it was their first choice. Why? Because their friends said that doing an Erasmus here was amazing. So that's what you should encourage, ambassadors' testimonials. That will help. With languages, we held a study in 2015 about languages, and we found that 3 out of 4 students would like to learn a language, either the local or another international European language. But they were held back by the fact that they did not have an opportunity after their Erasmus to continue studying it or to use it. So, because in their core curriculum, this language is not a course, so they would either have to pay for their own courses, especially if the language is smaller, it's not that easy to find native speakers as well. That we can counter by joining an organization like ESN or a student association, so you can get in touch. And also, yes, to encourage the opportunities of work, we should continue to express the fact that you can do internships with Erasmus Plus as well, not just academic, or at least offer other forms of internships. For example, ESN is now working with ISEC in Latvia, looking how to offer internships in the summer before their exchange, for example. With high school, I remember when I went to school in 2000, I finished in 2014, my high school. There was still an opportunity to go in my school to Germany in exchange because we had agreements, and it was a really nice experience. I did not get to do it myself. And there was also still some parts of the Comenius project, which was later integrated into Erasmus+. So I think, yes, we should at least, first of all, have more information about Erasmus+, EVS, and so on, offered to high schoolers. ESN tries to do its best, but we would appreciate extra help with that. And secondly, I think it would be an amazing experience if you could find a way how to have, at least during the summer, some way how to go abroad when you're in high school. Because I think it would really open your eyes to Europe. Thank you.
Kali, thank you. Do we have any other short question? Yes, please.
Very short comment. So this weekend I had the opportunity, because I'm coaching a Latvian moot court team, and they qualified for the final, and they participated at the European Court of Justice this week, and so they were among the best 4 teams out of 80 in the European Union. What I've learned, this is also another opportunity. It's not just Erasmus. It's if you stay within the system, then at least you can kind of smell a bit the European air. So this is a very good opportunity. So there are a lot of different opportunities. And a friend of mine working at the European Court of Justice, so for the European Commission, maybe something to communicate even more, is this program my friend told me about. It's Back to School. So that those Latvians or whoever who's working in the European institutions goes back to the school where they started actually their careers, and then you might have a different approach, and it's also a motivation for pupils to see, okay, this can happen to me if I want to, and if I understand the European idea and so on. So that's just one idea.
Okay, thank you. Anything else to add? Okay, thank you. Then I would like to go into finish line, because we are going to have another breakout session in a few minutes. So as we can understand, and also we can understand from our youth, that this is an important issue today, and the Erasmus is a value nowadays, and it's a value for each member, for each people by itself, and also for European Union. This is a value where we have to work for. About the courage, to answering to your question, maybe I could just add very shortly that there's a list of embassies in Latvia, which I know who offers different kind of summer school camps for high school. So you just can try to check it out, and maybe you can find something which are you're looking for it. And the best courage, I think, those who we have been somewhere, also myself, I have been as a student, and also I did my internship abroad, and that was an amazing experience. And what I'm trying to do with my colleagues and friends is just to share this experience, and the word share came up here, so this is something I think what we should do for the future, and just to help our people next to us to put this step. I don't think someone will regret it afterwards. So thank you very, very much for skipping your lunch and joining us to this session. Thank you, our field professionals, and I wish you luck in the day to come. And thank you very much.